Welcome back everyone to another quick knife review video. My name is Sam and this is the Benchmade Taggedout. But before we get into it, let me just first say thank you to Cutlery Shop for sending me this knife to look at and review. If you are in the market for a new knife, I highly recommend checking them out. So without any further delay, let's just jump right into it. The clip point blade on this knife comes in CPM 154 steel with a length of 3.5 inches. The handle is made of grivery like the Benchmade Redoubt, and it has the Benchmade Axis lock. It has a reversible tip-up pocket clip, and it has an overall length of 8.13 inches. The Taggedout weighs 2.1 ounces, and it's made in the USA. Now, when I was rummaging through my collection to find a good knife I wanted to compare this to, I landed on the Spyderco Para 3 lightweight. The main reason I picked the Para 3 is because it's actually the lightest knife I personally own. Now, as you can see, there are obvious differences in that the Taggedout has a longer overall length. You can just tell here. If we line it up pivot to pivot, it looks pretty much longer. But then the things you can't see are the weight differences. So as we said, the Taggedout weighs 2.1 ounces, and the Para 3 comes in at 2.4 ounces. So that's actually really interesting that you have two linerless knives and you have a whole 0.3 ounces in weight difference. And I think where that comes in at is if you look on the Para 3, it has a lot thicker of a blade. The stock on the blade is thicker than that of the Taggedout. We can try and get a little comparison here. The Taggedout is a lot thinner, and I think that's just where you save a lot of weight in the long run. And there are also the differences in that the Para 3 has fiberglass reinforced nylon handles, and the Taggedout is grivery, and I'm still not 100% sure on what grivery entails. Maybe someone can educate me on that, or I could probably look it up myself. But yeah, I think that could also play a factor into the differences between the two. And I think you might have a little bit, I would say you probably have just about as much weight addition with the axis lock mechanism. Like you have to add some weight for that, like you do with the compression lock on the Para 3. But I really do think that a lot of that weight just comes in the blade stock and how thick, at its thickest point, the Para 3 is just a lot thicker. So what are my thoughts on the Taggedout? Like I already mentioned, it's extremely light for its size, which is pretty cool. If you didn't know by the name though, this knife is designed to be carried by hunters, because when a hunter reaches his or her tag limit, it's also known as being tagged out. But I want to circle back to how light it is, because that's a good thing if you are a hunter, because oftentimes you are traveling by foot to and from your destination of where you're setting up camp or a hunting spot, and you just don't want to be overcumbered by gear and tools that weigh too much. So again, I think the theory is having a lighter knife is good. And the CPM 154 steel is also ideal for hunters and outdoor enthusiasts due to its good corrosion resistance and ease of sharpening. It also is decently tough. Now for me though, I'm not an avid hunter, so this knife doesn't really appeal to me in that regard. I am interested though in how this would fare as an EDC knife. So for the sake of time, I have one reason I would carry it and one reason I would not carry it. The big reason I would carry the Taggedout as an EDC knife is what we've already talked about, in that it's very lightweight. If you're an ultralight EDC person, or if you have a super minimal type of carry, I'd say this knife is worth checking out, because when you pair it with the deep carry pocket clip, it can really disappear in your pocket. Side note, I'm a really big fan of these deep carry pocket clips from Benchmade that come on their knives. I just think it's so great that they are making that a standard type of thing, because more people want deep carry. They prefer deep carry. So good job, Benchmade. I think that's awesome. So why would I not carry the Taggedout? There are actually two reasons why I wouldn't personally carry it. So yes, I lied when I said there was one reason for each, and I'm sorry about that. When we get a new knife, that knife should do something to you, right? It should make you feel excited about carrying it and using it. And that's just not the case for me in this knife. I don't hold it against another knife and struggle between choosing the two. I generally defer to a different knife. There's just something about this tagged out that doesn't give me that oomph factor. But don't get me wrong, this is a great knife. But it's not a knife that speaks to me on a personal level. And that's worth considering when purchasing knives. Firstly, though, I'm not big into clip points. They just really aren't for me. I have a buck knife that I bought in a drop point because I did not want the traditional clip point. And secondly, this is a lame reason, I know, but the orange scales just feel super plasticky to me. And again, I know they're not plastic, they're Grivery, but they just feel cheaply made. And that kind of actually ties into a third point. So sorry, again, I lied, but it's $180. And I just think you can get better knives for that price, plus or minus $20. Case in point, we talk about this knife a lot here, but the Spyderco PM2 and Crewwear is $188 at most online stores, including Cutlery Shop. So I just don't really get the justification of $180 for this knife. Again, $8 more. This knife is $8 more, has a better blade steel. Yeah, it's heavier. It's totally heavier. I will. That's a great point. Heavy. This sucker is heavy. I don't know the exact weight, but I would trade the weight for a better knife. The handles, it's micarta, so they are comfortable. You can get good grip with them. This knife just, I feel like if I was a hunter and I was out, I would want something that I felt more confident with, and I feel more confident in this PM2 than I really do with this knife. It just feels kind of cheap. I'm not saying it is, but it just feels like it. For $180, I would rather spend my money on this. But that's just a quick review of the Benchmade Taggedout. And I know it was kind of a rip on this knife, but I think these things just have to be addressed of the cost to what you're getting versus what you could get. And what are the trade-offs in that? And so let me know what you think. If you have this knife and you're in love with this knife, I want to know. Let's keep it let's keep it civilized, but that's just my opinion. So let me know down below if you like this knife, if you've thought about buying this knife, if you've used this knife. Again, this was just sent out to me, so I'm not going to take it out and torture test it. But let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next video.